welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast, segment 2. Today we'll be going over Born Again, season 2, episode 7. I'm your host, Jerome. I got Ken as my co host here with our guests, Dom and James. Once again, we'll be going over our pros and cons from the most recent episode, favorite scene, as well as our score out of 10. Ken, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Jerome. So overall, I thought the episode was fine. Pros, Daniel Blake. I think he's been a strong
Yeah.
supporting character, like we discussed. He was not very good last year, but he's much better this year. I'm actually gonna get into my cons now pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
I think with only 2 episodes, okay, so obviously you have the finale next week. I
Hmm.
just it's like a lot happened, but it felt like a lot didn't happen at the same time. Um, and this, again, I've spoken on this a little bit last week, and I think the supporting characters have been better. But I think now looking at it holistically, we've gotten a lot less Daredevil because of it. And I get it. Like the supporting
Yeah.
characters really needed a lot more care this season, and because of that, we've gotten less Daredevil. And I just think for the episode right before the finale, I just hope to get a little bit more of him. But again, I don't want to attribute these positives to this episode, but a few things that happened this episode that made me really excited for the finale.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bullseye. One good deed. I think we had a great conversation last week about the ounce of
Yeah.
heroic nature in him. So it was cool, to see him step in and save the mayor,
Governor. Yeah.
and or forgive me, the governor. Thank you.
Hmm.
And another Luke Cage.
Shout out.
Name drop. Yeah. So again, like Bullseye obviously being a key player in the finale, that's really exciting. I love all his action scenes. I love that character. I love the way the actor plays it. Just has a cool factor. And then Luke, though, just the thought of Charles sending Luke in just to shut down all of this, like rebellions and all this other stuff. And just like
Hmm.
uh the fantasy of getting to see Daredevil fight Luke Cage is something that keeps me up at night. I know, like, Batman versus Superman, and that's cool too. But I
Yeah.
think like this is, these are both two street level characters. So
Yeah.
again, just for the possibility of seeing that, and then Bullseye's involved too. Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. But overall for this episode, just think it was just okay. Like, so probably give it a 6, knocking on the door of a 7, so 6.9.
Yeah. Okay. Dom, over to you. How were you feeling about episode 7?
Yeah, I thought Ken made a lot of good points. That's pretty much, how I feel about it. It was an episode. It was the penultimate episode before the finale
Hmm.
next week, and it kind of played like that a little bit, a setup episode to kind of set up the finale next week. We saw a lot of the side characters' arcs almost come to a close here, or getting ready to come to a close. We saw Daniel depart us,
Hmm.
choosing to do the right thing in the end, and saving BB's life, which cost him his own. And we saw Heather become one step closer to Lady Muse
Yep.
in a very interesting scene with Karen.
Hmm.
So that is starting to come to a start. And we saw Matt return to the courtroom, which was
Yep.
nice. We were talking last week how we missed Matt's courtroom scenes. So
Yes, sir.
it was good to see him back in that environment, even though it was completely rigged and he's playing for the cameras. So
Yeah.
it's not quite like how he usually is in the courtroom. But overall, it was a slower episode. I kind of talked about pacing issues last week. After the great episode we had where Daredevil and Fisk finally meet and fight, we get to this episode, which slows it down again quite a bit. Kind of hard to pick out a favorite scene because it's going to be a dialogue scene.
Yeah.
I probably would take the Karen and Fisk confrontation, which kind of
Okay.
kicked off the episode. I thought
Yeah.
we had been waiting a long time to see them interact. It might be the first time in this Born Again era that they've actually had a conversation.
Hmm.
And I like the scene because I think Karen was right about the fear that you can see in Fisk right now. Because he's losing control of the city.
Yeah.
And it's quite obvious going into the finale. So
Yeah.
it was, so true that Fisk lost his temper, nearly choked her out. So
Yeah.
um,
Once he loses Vanessa because of how much that's tied with his character, everything just
yeah,
starts shearing at the seams, you know?
yeah, starting to lose the city for sure. So I'd probably give that my favorite scene. With Ken on the ratings, I'm probably just an average episode. I'd probably give it like a 7.
Okay. James, over on to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had a lot of the thoughts a lot of my thoughts echo what you guys were talking about. One of the issues I think with this being the penultimate episode is that it doesn't really do anything to spark the fuse to get me excited for the finale.
Yeah.
An issue or something I just thought of right now listening to you guys all talk, the side characters and how they sort of slow down a lot of the Matt Murdock development. I think that's an issue with the show. We might have too many characters uh to sort of like put here into this giant puzzle piece that we have for the season of the story arcs. It would probably work if we had a longer season, but with the way everything's working, I feel Cherry, yeah, God, Powell. Like I feel there's so many characters that can may have been like combined to achieve
Hmm.
the same goals while still focusing on some of our mains. I think the courtroom stuff was weak with Matt, even though
Yep.
it
I
was nice
agree.
to see him back there.
Yeah.
I feel it was just like they threw that in there just to say, "Hey, look, remember he's a lawyer."
Yeah. I agree.
I'm like, but I'll let you speak on that, Jerome. My favorite scene, I guess, it's more not so much a scene, it's more an effect of Daniel Blake being shot, and it reminded me a little bit of the that Penguin show that you guys all really liked. I don't know if you remember with that one that
Yep.
one character that had to go. Sort of not the same kind of character, but sort of similar. Like you kind of like got like this dopey sort of side character that's getting into the world or gets trapped into this lifestyle, and because of this
Hmm.
lifestyle, they meet
Yeah.
their end.
100%.
Yes, so that sort of consequence, like real actions are having consequence. I like that, but also this is something that should have happened maybe in the middle of the season,
Yeah.
so we can speed things up to get to whatever. Because at the end of the day, this is a Daredevil show. We want Daredevil. We want his confrontations. Yeah, overall, I'd probably give it like a 5. With like all my numbers, I'll hold until the whole
Yeah.
picture is painted.
I appreciate that. And then when it comes to me, I feel like one of my pros was kind of like walking back my statement on what the whole Buck and Dr. Glenn scene with her choking him out, is you can kind of see kind of now what he had saw is leading her down that path, like you guys talked about, on of her becoming Lady Muse, and how that scene sets up her availability for aggression now um with Karen. Um and really getting to like, okay, I've Buck's just sitting there like, now we're twisting her onto our side, really, because she starts off as just like a therapist, just like a lawyer would be in a general situation, without her ties to the extraordinary that we see in the world of the MCU. So now we get to see her take a step in that direction with Buck, and now really start to act on her own desires as they become closer and closer to the criminal side of the conspiracy that goes along with what Fisk and Buck want to set up for his New York City. Another, just a little pro, but then it turns into a con, is like what you guys had talked about, was Matt's lawyer time. I really wanted to see that, or I was really missing that this season. So they brought him back, but then the argument was between McDuffie as well as the prosecuting lawyer, and like them cutting kind of back and forth between the two wasn't the feel that I wanted to. So in kind of bringing him back for that brief moment, it just made me want him to actually take on the case and take on the speaking side of that. So I think it turned into more of a con for the episode. I think
Jerome,
also the
can
transition.
I
What's up, Ken?
give
Go
you a
ahead.
thought quickly on
Of
that?
course.
Do you think like the point of this scene, because again, like Kingpin is quote unquote framed Matt as like a hero. So
Yeah.
even Matt coming in and just far as like publicly supporting Karen is a win, even though like only his presence is necessary. Do you feel
Yeah.
like they needed to build on that at all? Like, because again, like I said, it's I don't know. What do you think?
No, I hear what you're saying, and maybe he isn't as tied to the case as McDuffie is because she's been the one representing. I just don't know if that's the decision I would have made if you're like, because you're right that him stepping into that is for the feels for the audience and the cameras that they literally pan to that are still shooting in there. Um, it's just it makes me want to hear him speak because he does such a great job speaking as a lawyer. And when he goes at it with these other two, it doesn't feel the same when they're just cutting between McDuffie and the prosecutor on and their points. It doesn't hit the same
That's
as
fair.
a courtroom scene with Matt leading the way. Um, but besides that, then like the transition from like the courtroom to the garage, I felt like was a little wasn't as smooth as it could be,
I
and
agree.
that scene kind of playing down like it felt a little amateurish. Um, and then once again, like Jessica Jones speaking scenes is like all about just explaining the plot. Um, and I don't feel like we're really getting anything out of her scenes when she's like talking. I feel like they're just putting there for exposition
Yeah.
sake. So um, those things kind of like held it back. As far as my favorite scene, like James was hinting at or talking about through Daniel's death was really good to me because it is not once again it's not the top that's going to see the ramifications when things start to when their house of cards start to fall. It's going to be someone like Daniel who went in full bore thinking they're doing the right thing, extremely excited, just getting played as one of the patsies in case things start to fall. So I really liked that triggers pull, his face turns to the side and it's over because that's who's really going to feel the ramifications first and foremost. But yeah, I do feel like this episode was slower, and I probably give it about 6.5.
Yeah, another con that I was thinking about was how they kind of just brushed over the whole. Not, I mean, they did brush over it. It was very brief, but also like the whole Luke Cage thing. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mr. Charles sent killers to the house
Yeah,
to kill Jessica, but her husband is working for Mr. Charles overseas. Are we supposed to not believe that that's against his will? Like he's having to pay off his debts because of some trouble he got with Harlem's Paradise? It's confusing. I hope they clear that up next week.
yeah.
Don't just leave it for the next season. But and then they just gave one little line of dialogue about it and just kind of left us in the dark about it. Just not really on board with that, with the way they're doing that at the
Right,
current
because
time.
Charles said, I told them not to shoot. But you would think that he would have more control over them than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get that either. I didn't get that either.
Yeah.
Good point. That's a good point you brought up.
I guess you could just see like Jessica kind of jumping in and just like, okay, there's people here with guns. Like I'm just she has a no bullshit attitude. So she'll just come out there and start knocking heads.
Well,
Yeah.
they threw
When you start
something in
interpreting
the.
it. Yep.
Did they
The
not throw something
flashbang
in the
I
grenade.
feel like
house?
a grenade
Yeah,
or
the
something.
flashbang grenade.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, like why even do that? Like
Yeah.
what does that have to do with what Charles said that they were sent there to do?
Mhm.
Feels like it does goes against each other.
I
Yeah.
mean, because it would be cool if we find out that that order came from Val to kill Jessica, and even Charles didn't know about it. But I feel like it's just bad writing, so I won't go there.
Yeah. Do you feel like we're going to get a mix of Matt as a lawyer? Because the case still isn't over, right?
No, she went back in her cell. She said, "I'm gonna stay here and go." Oh, sorry.
I mean, the ruling hasn't come down yet. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I feel like so we're setting up for like a big ruling and then some sort of final face off between Daredevil and Fisk. Yeah.
yeah, all of this has to end. I mean, we know what's coming. We've seen the trailer for Spider-Man. We know Fisk is out of power. We've seen leaks that have come out this week. So we kind of this has to end. It does feel rushed a little bit. But
One episode left, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Yes.
gonna see how this all closes.
Yeah, I mean, because I think the second Kingpin doesn't execute the assassination on the governor, it's over. like it's literally over. You cannot have any witnesses. You tried to kill the governor of New York.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's at this point, it really is bigger than you. Like you don't have an Avengers team. It's over. Like I know, like Matt will, do some cool stuff, probably knock him out with his theme song playing, and that's great. That's cool. But it's over. Bullseye literally saved the show. It's over.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
the
true.
governor, yeah.
And the governor, yeah.
Do you think he goes like? Do you think he flees? He runs, or do you think Matt's going to get him incarcerated?
Yeah, so the set leaks, man, like revealing some stuff. It looked like Kingpin was, he had like a gray beard and he was just like walking around, kind of like not undercover, but just like blending into society. So I'd say he didn't get locked up, but he cannot be mayor. Like
He probably gets exiled or something like that, and is left to his own devices on an island somewhere or some other city.
And is that supposed to be a win for Matt?
I mean, who knows? We'll see where it falls at the end of this season. So, and they have a lot. They have a lot to do. I feel similar to the boys in terms of with this as well. Like we don't have enough. I feel enough rail track, for the train to go on to like give us like a thoughtful conclusion.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. I'm not a writer, so maybe they have some grand scheme afoot that is going to wow us in the final episode.
Yeah, hopefully they do.
Tough. But I got a question for the team because I know, again, just to put our business hats on, I know we all saw like the numbers. They said that the viewership decreased by 50% from season 1 to season 2. Any thoughts on why that is? Even though all of us consider this to be superior to last season's.
It's probably just the general like hype of the initial first season back is the comeback, right, of Michael Jordan coming back after taking a year off, where everybody's hyped for that. But now we're going in the second season. There's always that drop off when you go from the first season to the second season of anything. So we get over that initial hype of Daredevil's back now into, okay, can we follow the continuing story after we've taken a break from it?
I think some of that has to do with the season 1 wasn't as good.
I agree.
So a lot of people, you'll see this in movies too. A lot of people tuned in and they're like, like this Daredevil isn't quite like what we wanted. So by the time the next season comes around, a lot of the general audience is like, well, the first season I wasn't really into. So even though this one has a more cohesive creative team, people just didn't show up. So this unfortunately,
you've lost him in the first season.
Yeah. Unfortunately, while this is better, I don't think it's enough of a 180 to like really win people back to
turn it around.
I think they're they've what's the saying? They've set they planted their flag, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. I don't think so. That's just my opinion on it.
I think the common denominator is, there's no Frank Castle, and people want Frank.
You know what? We'll see the viewership for that
the one shot.
People want Frank, man.
Yeah.
Frank.
But
I mean, for Frank to get put in a Spider-Man movie means there must be some demand for him.
That's good. It's not Daredevil.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I mean,
like it's legendary, man,
and not just catching a brick and saying a cool line. So a bit more than that.
No. I mean, to put Frank next to literally like the company's mascot and the biggest money maker, I guess speaks.
Yeah, they put
a lot
killer.
How popular he is. Yeah.
It could have been. I feel like there was maybe more going on in the MCU too. But we're kind of in a little bit of a drought right now. So that maybe could be something to do with it too.
Yeah, but I mean, with that, question for the audience is: are we excited as this transitions from Born Again season 2 into Daredevil, the Defenders Born Again season 3? And can they set up enough in this final episode to win us back over as we go into Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and the team that Daredevil will have going into season 3? But with that, guys, we appreciate your time with us. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.